Hello everybody, I am back for another video, and today we have an official blog post by the guys over at Nexus Mods about Oblivion Remastered. This is for the date of the 24th of April 2025. So we're going to read through this article and see what the guys at the Nexus have got to say about the Oblivion game, about its engine, about how modding is going to work, and there's also going to be a couple of shout outs to a couple of mods here as well that have already been created as well. So without further ado, let's get into this. You are the one from my dreams, but this time the stars were right for a different reason. Oblivion Remastered has dropped and the gates to nostalgia have reopened. Everyone in the office has gone wild over the news, and we can't wait to see what you're all going to create. In fact, a bunch of you have already jumped in and started modding the game. We have over 270 mods already uploaded to the site, with more than 421,000 unique downloads. These include things like a simple photo mode, a new HUD, better HUD, and the Alien Reshade, a preset created to bring back the vivid colours of the original game. So, what do we know so far about how the game works? As soon as the game dropped, we were all frantically downloading it here at the office, ready to poke around and find out how it all worked. However, less than an hour after release, the super talented users in the community with a passion for reverse engineering had already cracked the game wide open, and we're discussing their findings. So we're keeping an eye on their conversations and supporting them if we can. Special thanks to Doodlum and Shadow Shade and the other members of the XSE Discord server for providing us with a summary of what they found so far. Oblivion Remastered uses an interesting hybrid of two different game engines, a modified version of the original 2006 Oblivion game engine and Unreal Engine 5.3. If you take a peek into the installation folder, you'll actually find a large chunk of the original game assets still intact, including the original game plugin files. Below are a few key things we've collected from our observations and what we've been hearing in the community. Take everything you read with the biggest pinch of salt at this early stage. The core data of the game is still loaded from the plugin files, as with the original games. However, each game object, in parentheses record, in the plugins is mapped from Oblivion Engine to Unreal Engine using JSON. This means that the traditional methods of detecting conflicts may not work anymore. When adding new content to the game, the JSON data from this content would need to be inserted. The JSON structures for many game objects include additional values that did not exist in the original game, and the purpose of them is currently unclear. Any text that is added to the game via plugins seems to show up with a, in parentheses, NL prefix, which is currently thought to mean not localized. Investigations are ongoing to work out how to make mods that don't have this prefix. The new Unreal Engine versions of the textures, models, particles, and animation files appear to still be linked to the original version in some cases. The level of detail, or LOD as it's known, for this game appears to use a completely new system, most likely heavily controlled by the Unreal Engine side of the game. The game uses several scripting languages across different systems, including an updated version of OBS Script, Unreal Engine Code, and Unreal Engine Blueprints. Concerning a possible script extender for the game, equivalent to XOBSE, which was the script extender which I believe existed for the original game back in 2006, there is a challenge of the Creation Engine script extender devs being unfamiliar with Unreal Engine and Unreal Engine modding being unfamiliar with the Creation Engine script extenders. There are some hints within the game code that there may be a construction set coming in for this game, but that may also simply reference the tools used by the developers. On the Xbox Game Pass store, the game states it includes in-game purchases, which could imply the eventual integration of the Bethesda.net paid mod store. I did expect the Creation Club store to probably eventually arrive at some point. The Xbox Game Pass of the game came with a lot of extra debug data that is helping with the efforts to reverse engineer it. The version of Xedit is in development to support creating plugin files for Oblivion Remastered, and it is currently largely untested and not yet available on Nexus Mods. To heavily summarize, there's some potential here, but unless we get an official construction set from Bethesda/Virtuous, there's a lot of reverse engineering work to be done before modding can be fully realized. Please don't badger the super smart folks working on this, let them cook. So that's basically news there as well, and there's a little bit of news about info about how you can port permissions, what they have planned, and basically some other bits of news at the bottom here. We have also reached out to both Bethesda and Virtuous to see if they can provide any further information on this. We'll be sure to pin a comment if we receive an update from them. A big shout out to Pickysaurus for his help on the technical part of this post. Let us know what you're hoping to see modded for the game in the comments. We've got a fair few comments here as well. So that's basically the news that the Nexus have got for us. At the end of the day, it's still very, very, very early days. The game has been out basically 2 days, and the enthusiasm from the modding community has been fantastic. I think people really, really wanted to mod the original game, but obviously modding the original game was quite difficult. But of course, now that this game has been basically remastered, whichever term you want to really use, there's a bit of a debate about whether it's a remaster or a remake. Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see how people mod this game. Obviously, like they say, it still has a lot of those core elements of the original game, but with an Unreal Engine 5 blanket on top to make the game look quite pretty. So it's like you've almost... I mean, I don't know a lot about modding, but I feel like any mods that aren't purely for aesthetic reasons, so mods that change textures or meshes of characters or armors, I feel like they could potentially be far easier to alter than mods that dive deeper and alter game mechanics or animations. I'm not overly too sure. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what we get from the modding community with Oblivion Remastered. In terms of mods at the moment, we're looking at 276 mods at this current point. We've got 6 collections and 143 images that have been taken as well. So some pretty cool stuff going on here. The modding is slightly slower than what we had for things like Starfield and stuff, but of course Starfield is still the creation engine, and this is not the creation engine. This is in Unreal Engine 5 plus some of the old engine tidbits from the original game. So yeah, some really exciting stuff going on here, and it's going to be awesome to see what comes. I would suggest checking in every single day. New mods are going to be here every single day. People experimenting with new things and releasing new things, so it's definitely worth keeping an eye on Oblivion Remastered's mod page and just trying out new things, seeing what comes out each day. I can only expect that the modding scene is going to increase dramatically for this game, and I think the future is very exciting for Oblivion Remastered. But guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this video, leave it a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. I'll try and keep us all up to date on the news for Oblivion Remastered. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe, everybody.